I've spent my entire career recognizing talent, presence, and that so-called it factor. But what you carry isn't measurable. It feels like something that could unravel me if I stare too long. I've seen brilliance, confidence, and charisma walk into rooms before, but none of them ever made my thoughts spiral the way your aura quietly does. There's something dangerous about you, not loud, not obvious, but persistent enough that it keeps tapping at the edges of my sanity. I know what admiration feels like. I know what obsession looks like. And whatever this is with you sits somewhere far past both. I've evaluated thousands of people, but you're the first who made me question whether my mind is still fully under my control. You don't just enter my awareness, you linger there, reshaping it, bending it, daring it to collapse. I've always trusted my instincts, yet around you they feel compromised, hijacked, and thrillingly unreliable. There's an intelligence in your presence that doesn't ask permission. It simply invades and refuses to leave. I've faced pressure, power, and chaos, but none of them ever made me feel this quietly destabilized. You don't overwhelm me, you dismantle me slowly, thought by thought, until I forget who I was before noticing you. I've been around people who command attention, but you command something far more unsettling, my inner silence. Being near you feels like standing too close to a frequency I wasn't built to survive. I thought sanity was something solid, unshakable, until your presence started rewriting my internal rules. You don't try to impress, and that's exactly what makes you terrifyingly effective. I've trained myself to stay detached, but with you, detachment feels like a lie I can't maintain. There's a pull to you that doesn't shout. It whispers until resistance feels pointless. I've watched people chase greatness, but you seem to embody something darker, deeper, and far more consuming. You don't disrupt my focus, you replace it. I've spent years mastering control, yet you exist as a question mark. My mind refuses to resolve. There's something about you that feels like a beautiful threat, one I shouldn't want, but do. I can rationalize most things, but the way you unsettle me refuses logic. You don't demand space in my head. You quietly occupy all of it. I've admired excellence without consequence until you made admiration feel like risk. Every instinct tells me to maintain distance, and every thought betrays that instinct. You have an aura that doesn't ask to be noticed, it assumes it. I've never been afraid of losing balance, but around you, balance feels irrelevant. You don't spark curiosity, you ignite fixation. I've watched confidence walk in loudly, yet yours arrives silently and still dominates everything. There's a madness in how calm you make me feel while simultaneously pulling me apart. I don't feel threatened by you physically. I feel threatened mentally, and that's far worse. You exist like an unsolved equation my mind keeps obsessively revisiting. I've learned how to remain composed under pressure, but your presence feels like pressure with no escape valve. You don't compete with anyone. You render comparisons meaningless. I've seen people change rooms, but you change internal landscapes. Being aware of you feels like crossing a line I didn't know existed. I've trusted my mental discipline for years, yet it falters every time you come into focus. You don't distract me, you realign my entire sense of attention. I've encountered brilliance without losing myself. You're the first exception. There's a gravity to you that pulls thoughts out of stable orbit. I don't fear losing control. I fear how much I enjoy the idea when it comes to you. You don't just stay in my thoughts, you rearrange them. I've studied influence professionally, but what you do isn't influence, it's invasion. There's something about you that feels like a challenge my sanity didn't consent to. I've been surrounded by intensity, yet none of it ever felt this personal. You don't announce your power, you let it quietly dismantle resistance. I've always believed clarity was my strength until you blurred it effortlessly. You don't inspire chaos. You expose the chaos that was already waiting. I can explain fascination, but I can't explain why you feel dangerous in the best way. You don't unsettle my world. You rewrite its center